Oh yeah. I mean, there's still kids I'm really worried about.
As school districts prepare for distance learning, counselors, teachers, and administrators are immediately thinking about the kids who are most at risk in this virtual environment. Here at KREM 2, we have made a commitment to continue covering back to school, whatever that ends up looking like in the fall. And tonight we are placing an emphasis on the lost children, because the fact is some kids absolutely are slipping through the cracks in digital learning. We're talking about the kids who never logged on to Zoom to meet with their teachers, who never turned in a digital assignment. I talked with one Spokane Public Schools counselor who did and went above and beyond to try to reach the kids that she knew were at risk to keep them from going missing.
We kind of sat down and built the caseload of kids who might become invisible through this. And we just laid out on an Excel spreadsheet. We went through each classroom and said, this kid might disappear, this kid, and just really try to target those students. And that kind of became my COVID caseload.
What were some of those red flags that you were worried about?
So it could be a family I know that really is struggling financially, families that have open CPS cases, kids that are receiving mental health services through our therapist, kids who are on my behavior interventionist caseload, just kids maybe that I know have been acting out or having really presenting different mental health within the building that I know we're going to need extra support.
How many did you come up with on that list that you considered at risk?
Probably around 50.
Are there any that you never were able to establish contact with, who just stayed invisible?
Yeah, honestly, there was only one family out of Grant that we couldn't contact. So we got in contact with almost every family.
Was it difficult?
Sometimes yes, and we would have to show up at homes sometimes to find
You did?
them. Yeah.
What were some of the steps, some of the methods that you tried to kind of maintain that or establish that contact?
So what was really helpful, we couldn't use our personal phones during COVID, or we're not supposed to in general. So I set up a Google Voice, and that was really helpful because parents could text me, which has never been a thing for me. So that was really beneficial, but also just reaching out to parents and offering things like, do you guys need toilet paper? Because when that first happened, a lot of my families, a lot of them don't have transportation. So then they couldn't even when they got to the store, they couldn't get the things they needed, which was awesome. I had so many community partners help me get supplies, and that got families to kind of engage. If I started more, not with an ask, but how can I come and help you, before trying to get them to engage in academics, they were way more open to hearing from me.
Were you worried about these students since you didn't really know if they were doing okay during that time?
Oh yeah. I mean, there's still kids I'm really worried about, because this is several months that they won't have seen me in person. And even when I message and I'm like, are you safe? How are things going? I know that possibly someone is, tuning into that interaction with me. So I'm hoping in the fall that I get to make more home visits, obviously in a really social distance, safe manner.
So we are going to continue tracking all of the impacts of this distance learning. We're going to get some statewide data about the impact of kids and just how many kids have actually gone off the grid and haven't been able to be reached since kids went home back in the spring. And so we will also continue to track the impact of distance learning as we go into the fall, because we know that many kids will still be at home and will not be in-person schools.